Hey everyone, it's Gerald Clayton and welcome to another episode of The Listening Space. Thanks for joining me. This is a series that is all about checking out different music, pointing out some of the things that I'm hearing in the music, some of the values of this great music. All of this is an effort to get any hungry young musicians out there, any students of the music, to put their ears on specific things, all in an effort to try to do some of those things on the bandstand as well. So for this episode, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the engine of the groove, sort of that thing that drives the groove, that drives the beat forward. And for many of you who play in different combos, different instrumentations, you might have some horn players and some vocalists, and you have a rhythm section. Now, the role of the rhythm section is sort of really that engine. I think everybody's really responsible for the beat on any bandstand, but there's something special about the rhythm section in helping us always drive the music forward, always driving the groove in a forward momentum. So I chose a couple tracks that I think really highlight that feeling of the beat kind of moving, this really engine, that's the theme. And the first one I chose is really stripping it down to just the bass and the drums, which is sort of the core of the engine. It's where we get all the fuel from. The bass players usually playing quarter notes on all four, and the drummer's right there along with him with the ride cymbal. So in this track, I chose a classic from Kenny Garrett's Triology with Charnette Moffett on bass and the great Brian Blade on drums. This is Night and Day. So really put your ears on the feel of the beat, the feel of the groove. They're really, everything they're doing is serving the time, is sort of moving things forward. Really hard swinging track, and everybody plays really beautifully on it. So here we go with Night and Day. Garrett takes just such a classic, beautiful solo on that. I love that track. It feels so good. Really, that engine is just driving the beat forward. If you take a closer listen, maybe rewind and go back to that, check out how everything that Brian Blade is doing, all of those fills he's playing, are really in service of that engine, in service of the time, in sort of that forward momentum. There's sort of outlines of every 8 bars. So he's still helping us feel these 8-bar phrases and outlining the form of the song. But really, it's all about that groove. It's all about just locking in with Charnette and how important that quarter note is. So again, all my hungry young musicians, give this a go. Learn this tune, learn Night and Day. And see if you can really focus on just making the beat move forward. Really focus on that time. Everybody lock in on that quarter note. And all of the stuff that you do to support the melody is all in support of that groove. Take care of the time before anything else. So that was a really great track. Another one I've chosen is another favorite of mine. This is Benny Green Trio from a great record called Testifying, with Christian McBride on bass and Carl Allen on drums. I mean, this is some of the hardest swinging stuff out there. I chose a track called Carl's Blues. Carl Allen is playing brushes for the beginning of this. So you can really kind of take note of the difference in the texture and the sound. And yet, just like this last track that I just played, there's really a service to the time, a service to that groove, just locking in with Christian McBride's quarter note. And they're all sort of riding this train together. Again, that engine of the groove, that engine of the time. It's really a hard swinging track. So here we go with Carl's Blues. Goes on and on and on. So good. That feels so good, right? Just that hard swinging feel. The other thing I would love for you to take note of in both of these last tracks, the way that Carl Allen and Brian Blade play on that ride cymbal, play on the kit, I wouldn't say that it's heavy-handed. You know, it's very sensitive. It's not about playing loud or playing insensitively and kind of with a hard touch. It's still light. It still dances. And yet there's this feeling of a real strong pulse, a real strong quarter note. So that's just something to take note of. While we're working on all these concepts, we also want to get our craft together. We want to be able to control the sound that we pull out of the instrument, so that we're not sort of bogarting the music necessarily. You know, still playing sensitively. We can still hear everything. Everything is mixed in a really hip way. And yet that beat is just so strong, right? There's that engine that just seems to be chugging along. So that's another really great track. I'm going to play a track by Mark Turner from an old record of his called Yam Yam. This has got Jorge Rossi on drums, and really his ride cymbal to me stands out so strongly on this track. Mark and Kurt Rosenwinkel play this really hip melody. And then it goes into this solo. I think Brad Meldau is the first solo. And as soon as they go right into time, you really hear Jorge Rossi's quarter note so strongly. Even in the mix, it feels like it's above everything else. Not in an insensitive way, but there's a real presence in his ride cymbal. The other really hip thing about it is while he's feeling all of the triplet subdivisions, just like Carl Allen and just like Brian Blade on the last two tracks, really, he's just focusing on quarter note. You know, he's not playing dang, 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 dang necessarily. He's just playing dang, 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 dang. And it still has all of that subdivision within it. So again, just a real emphasis on the quarter note, a real emphasis on that groove, on being in an engine that moves the beat forward. So here we go with the track of Mark, simply entitled Blues. Love that. It feels so good, right? When they get into that, just dance is so hard. Feels so good. Again, I think it's just something to take note of how they're really focused on that quarter note. How the groove really is priority number one. Just let's focus. Okay, we're all on the same beat. You know, we're driving that engine forward, and then start to mix things up. Start to add some other things. A few episodes ago, I talked about the subdivision of the groove, that the way Clark Terry used to talk about feeling that swing feel, that swing eighth note, is to hear the triplet subdivision really strongly. That dood la 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 dood. With every beat, there's a triplet in there. So you can hear that in all of the information that these cats in the past few examples that I played for you can hear how that's in their heads as well, in their bodies, that they're playing that quarter note and really making it feel real strong and consistent, and yet there's something behind it that's bubbling too with that triplet subdivision, and letting all of the information that they're playing to support the groove fit within that, in that subdivision. So just another thing to put your ears on really closely, and also give it a shot. Go ahead and try that when you're playing with one another on these bandstands. I think it really helps move the beat forward, really helps support whoever's taking a solo on top of you. If you really focus on just making that beat feel really strong and really good. So that's what this is all about. I'm going to choose for the last track something that veers away from this swing feel that we've been focusing on, away from that triplet subdivision, into something a little more straight. This is from a Lionel Loueke record. And Lionel is just such a master of time, of groove. I've heard it said that for every time signature you're in, when you play with Lionel, he's hearing 3 or 4 more at the same time going on. So really a master of rhythm and morphing it. On this track, from a record called Heritage, we have Mark Juliana on the drums and Derek Hodge on electric bass, and they're holding down that engine of the groove in that same way that I've been focusing on the previous tracks, but with a different feel. So see if you can kind of hear the similarity, why I put this one in the mix with the previous tracks. Here we go with Lionel Loueke's Freedom Dance. feels good, right? I just can't help but dance to that one. Um, Again, there really just is this sense that between the bass and the drums, there's so much power in moving the beat forward and making us feel that groove and making us want to dance. That all comes from the engine of the rhythm section, of the bass and the drums, just locking in together. In this case, with a particular clave, right? That this tune is really and just driving home that rhythm. Even when Mark kind of opens up on the ride cymbal, you still hear that clave underneath it. So just something to pay attention to. I think for all of this music, for any of my students out there who are hungry to kind of put some of this stuff in your own fingers, it's always a good idea to just soak this stuff up, listen to it over and over and over, eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then actually transcribe it, figure out what it is that you're listening to, start to play along with the records, and really try to match the groove. Try to match Brian Blade's touch. Play all those fills that he's playing on Night and Day, but try to match the touch too. Really pay attention to all of those details, like when Carl Allen switches from brushes to sticks, right? The whole time we have to focus on this feeling of the beat moving forward. If the beat feels flat, something's wrong. It's not really like treating the music the right way. So in service of the music, let's be engines of the groove. Let's put coal into our engine and really drive this train forward. Whenever you're playing really anything, we want to make it dance. We want to make it feel good. So that's what this is all about. Thanks again for checking out another Listening Space episode. I look forward to the next one, and take care out there. Peace and love.